Just gun on YouTube. This is Acid Roots. So I'm going to review the debut commercial mixtape by Playboi Carti. Basically, this product is called Self-Titled, and it came out in the spring of 2017. So the thing about this particular product here is just the fact that this is kind of a revolutionary type product for new era trap music and pitches like that. I'd say it has a new subgenre within some of those type pitches, which is cloud rap as far as those fairs going to happen. Now, I've not reviewed a ton of those particular type folk, but there's some folks like Juice WRLD and XXXTentacion, folks like that in particular, but Playboi Carti is one that had been around that particular aspect as well. Came up on some of the SoundCloud type fare and folks like that within those particular pitches. There are some good ones within those pitches. Post Malone was one of those type ones that came up on SoundCloud as well. So there's some folks like that. I want to say Lil Uzi Vert and Lil Yachty were also some other fellow type ones within some of those type pitches. Now I reviewed Lil Uzi Vert, Lil Yachty, some of those type folks, but they had a little bit more trap in mind. This has like mild traces of trap on here, but this has a lot more kind of bewildered. Like this is a very smoke-centric type project, which is pretty dope to kind of get that particular concept, because a lot of this is pretty floaty. These are like trips to kind of have. If you do, a lot of this particular product is more neighborhood type fare and like a hangout type sense, more so than actual venues step out and more socialized within a fraternized type sense with like full-blown kind of like pounding shots, torque and strip club action. Some of those type fairs, just club bounce, some of that type fare. I mean, there are some moments on here like the ASAP Rocky song that has some of that relative type pitch, but a lot of this, if you like fairs like Lil Uzi Vert from what he did, basically similar fairs like Lil Uzi Vert's 2015 mixtape Love Is Rage, some of those particular type fairs just with a lot more floatiness. It has the same fashions like Lil Yachty on some of his more bewildering typeness, just without like the more it has the frivolity of that, but it's just kind of more smoke centric and a little bit more with trap snarl about it. So it's just kind of the pitch behind it as far as getting like cloud trap as far as those pitches would kind of happen. But it is revolutionary because I can't think of too many folks that were kind of doing this particular type fare. I mean, there were folks like Lil Uzi Vert, some of those type ones, but this particular one kind of melds a particular style and just carries it pretty damn well within the pitches. This was kind of a big deal in like the spring and summer of 2017 and just throughout the times. But the thing about it is, in particular, it's just the fact that Playboi Carti does not have like a super ton of projects just kind of within the pitch that he has like here and there type projects, but for the most part it's just kind of within the pitch that I don't want to say he's a product of the 2010s, but it's just the fact that there haven't been as many full bounces just within the pitch. But this is some excellent type fare here. Definitely what I'd say, I do appreciate this project pretty full. I do appreciate this project pretty damn well as far as this fair is going to happen. Just says some excellent type and just kind of get all. There's 4 singles out this product and a lot of these did pretty excellent. There were 4 singles out this product, and a few of these did some damage as far as the particular chart appeal with it kind of went. So it's just kind of the concept as far as saying that the thing with it in particular is this was a little bit different. I mean, this has similarities to like Migos, has similarities to like Future and like Mild Senses, has big similarities to Migos, big similarities to like Lil Yachty and Lil Uzi Vert, but it's just within the pitch of just being more cloud centric with a little bit more trendy to times of like new era type pitches. So it's just good type fare. We'll get to that as I start to dissect it more, but for the most part, the vast majority of this product is rec. I do recommend pretty hand over fist as far as those pitches can happen with this. So it's good type fare, good debut to kind of get here. Now, originally I thought that this mixtape was free within those pitches, but I think this is more of like a retail commercial type mixtape. So I want to say there might have been some Playboi Carti that showed up on Dat Piff and places like that, it has supposed, but this is a particular one that was just retailed this off the bat, despite the fact of being like more mixtape type fare. So it's just within the pitch. But yeah, there are 4 singles on this product, like I was saying, so I recommend all 4 of these. And basically out of the 15 songs in this product, I wound up recommending 11 and a half, so we'll get to some of those type fares. But basically, Lookin' was the first single here. It's like a glitzy kind of cloud trap feels about this one. Lookin' is like a glitzy kind of cloud trap to kind of get here. It feels like a Risen and Lofty kind of smoke several quality late day hangout to kind of get within some of those type tones. And this is just like some drowsy enjoy to kind of get here. So a lot of this particular product, like I was saying, it's just the concept of having some real smoke trip type ones, just a more kind of PlayStation music out pitches like that, just more around the neighborhood type fare. Some of those particular aspects, pizza boxes, some good concepts that just hang out and just have movies on some of those type pitches, just good music, the meme too, and some of those type fares, just hang out, chit chat, some of that standard schematics just within the pitch behind it. So it's just kind of more of just like, not so much to say full blown kind of simping type music, but just kind of more within a regular kind of day kind of chit chat type fare, just within a rap type sense. When you think of like certain rap albums, like, you know, Future was just kind of more about getting tore up, and it's the same thing with Migos, as they kind of have more socialized factor of just kind of getting tore up in a sense. But this is one that kind of melds it down to like more ground level, just kind of within the in between type trenches type feel, just like the actual conduct of like, all right, we're hanging out, some pitches like that, what are we going to do apart from this smoke an L or 2 and pitches like this, some actual extra good conduct to kind of have within some of those type fairs. Just the product of this extra kind of moments. There's some songs like this on here. There are some socialized type moments within certain senses, but I feel like songs like Look In, Let It Go, Magnolia within a certain sense. Some other ones on here like Half and Half, and like I would say New Choppa within a more Liddy type sense, Ya Mean, some of these type ones. So just some pitches here just to be able to get within a lot of this hangout type fair that just has like some good commotion, but it works for what it is. You know, good tones for a lot of these. Woke Up Like This is a nice one as well. It's like a jarred and kind of slurred out cruise around. I would definitely feel like within those pitches, nice snazzy Kanye West type city step out to kind of get here and just has some haze feel about it. So it's just kind of the pitch. If you take a song that like Big Sean or Kanye West would do, just on kind of like a more slurred out type sense. If like Big Sean or Kanye were to smoke like 15, 10, 15 swish or something like that, it'd be a good concept to kind of get something like this that just kind of woke up like this. Just feels like Red Eyes type music just out on the town, just like a more kind of fashion and just having like a fritzy kind of feeling. So it's a good type tone for that. I do like to appreciate the social aspects of some of these type fairs of just going out and about just within like a relative driftiness and just like glaze sense. So it's a good concept. Let It Go is the third single. It's like a hella trippy kind of floating super high hangout commotion kind of get here. It just goes with Lookin', and it's even more tore up type fun to kind of get. The thing about both the first two lead singles, Lookin' and Woke Up Like This, both of these have Lil Uzi Vert on there, so it's a good type pitch. It just is like a continuation of like the stuff he did with like Love Is Rage and some of his 2015, 2016 type fairs, so some good type pitches for that. Just more hangout type fashion, mild socialized type sense. But yeah, I'd say Let It Go is just like a little bit same sort of fashion as Lookin' within the pitch, just a little bit trippier within the tone behind it. Just kind of an aspect to have more smokes in your system, just kind of the fashion of like, alright, really starting to get tore up, more Red Eyes type fair just in the pitch behind it. That's a good nice one. Then Magnolia is the fourth single, and this is the most popular song according to Spotify. This has over 900 million plays or something like that. Over 900 million plays. Woke Up Like This has over 500 million plays. So Magnolia is like a dazzling kind of high as hell bass thump to kind of get here. Just a combination of Woke Up Like This with the glaze of Let It Go. I'd have to say in some good hangout type fair within some of that. This feels like a little bit of a ritzy kind of Migos type fashion just within the sense behind it. One of those type ones that they would do that they would just kind of weave through so easily just with the flute type fair, some of that type pitch as far as that particular fair kind of goes along with it. Good concept there. Is kind of one. This is one that has a little bit more venue commotion about it. I'd have to say not quite as much hangout full blown. I'd have to say it was just within the pitch. It just a little bit like there's two singles on here that have a little bit more social commotion. They're just a little bit more kind of risen a bit. They're a little bit more risen a bit and a little bit more awake and just social commotion just in the aspect of getting some daps, some standard pitches like that. Just the concept of it. I just would say Woke Up Like This and Magnolia are like the two ones for that particular type fashion. But Magnolia is just a little bit more of one. This kind of goes amongst like the conduct of a little bit. It's kind of productive within a sense, but it's kind of within pretty much more of like the same track as like Woke Up Like This, just within the same smoker. So all four of these singles have smoke type factor within them. They're just good conducts to kind of be relatively completely blitzed as hell as far as those pitches kind of having this good aspect to kind of get tore up, have some snackage, visit McDonald's, get some of those type fairs, get some snackage, visit McDonald's, get some good grub, some of those type fairs, and then just figure out, map out what's going to happen within the particular fair. But the thing about it is, some of this, more so than oftenly, is like more hangout, just more residential type fair, but there are a few venue type moments that we'll kind of get to within some of those type pitches, but for the most part, it's just kind of in between type fashion, just saying, it's not within the concept. If you're thinking there's going to be songs like what Future does with Same Damn Time and like Tony Montana, some of those type ones, where it's going to be like strippers bounding on these poles, pitches like that, just real heavy torque type action just in the pitch of like really getting crunk, throwing money, some of those type pitches, just really pounding shots. So I'm saying it's not crazy within that sense, but just a little bit more. It kind of brings it down to like a more localized type fashion, which is kind of similar to what Lil Uzi Vert did on at least his 2015 and 20 some at least on like his 2015 project as far as those first kind of have, which is a good type pitch. Kind of get some of that. These are definitely necessary to kind of have, especially in like a new era type fashion. Once things like 3-6 Mafia and like Young Jock and some of those type folks, Young Dro in certain senses, started to dry up as far as like particular residential type fare for like more new era type fashion. So it goes within that pitch to be able to have like some new era type stuff for residential house party type clicking as far as those aspects will kind of go. So yeah, to talk about this, so basically out of 15 songs on this project, there's 11 and a half that I recommend, so that's really only 3 and a half that I don't. And those three and a half songs would be Kelly K, Had To, and Lame Niggas are the 3 songs I don't recommend in any fashion. Song I'm on the fence about is Do That Shit. So talk about Do That Shit, this is basically like a mid-2010s kind of after work shift commerce kind of get here. Pretty similar to Migos, another track that's pretty similar to Migos, dope fashion for that, and it's like a commercial pop trap like Future's Pluto as far as those pitches can have trapping also, I'd say. So this kind of reminds of like Migos from Culture, I'd say, and then also like a little bit like in a more minor sense of like Future when he did like some of those more pop trap type joints on Pluto, some of those type fairs. Just in the pitch of this one that just feels like more commerce, just got done with tasks as far as those pitches kind of happen. Just the embrace of Hair in the Wind, some of those type pitches, or just a cruise around, just kind of the embrace of just something. But it's a little bit more jovial within the pitch behind it. This has a little bit more. I think that's kind of the fashion, so why I didn't recommend this as full blown, because it's a little bit just more kind of cheesing a bit more so than the actual quality of like the production type fare. I mean, it's a feel good type song within the pitch, but the ambience behind it is just not as ferocious as probably some of these ones on here. I feel like songs like Half and Half, New Choppa, other shit, some of these type ones just nailed a little bit better. Some of these type ones like Magnolia, Woke Up Like This, pitch just like that. But what I'd say it's a good type song kind of have for some of that relative pep with this. Gotten done with things, just with the pitch behind it, just a good embrace kind of have for it. Like, alright, done, now it's time to figure out what to do, but it's just kind of the concept of just that initial kind of feeling of just that, like, that relief. It would feel like this more commercial pop trap and like a workaday kind of push type sense that I'd say was mostly a good concept for that. So yeah, the concept of what I'm going to score this particular album, me recommending at least 11.5 out of 15. It's kind of the prospect of just saying that it's kind of within the fashion that it would pretty much 12 out of 15 would probably be like an 8.75 out of 10, pretty close to that. So I just would say this particular album's going to get an 8.5 out of 10 just in the pitch. I mean, it just feels like it's a song and a half shy maybe of getting like a full blown kind of classic score within the pitches behind. I mean, it's real damn good within the pitches behind that. Just have to say here, there's a lot of trendy stuff like new eras for those pitches kind of go. Just did things differently. It was not like a typical kind of trap album like some of these relative type folk. Just did some things just within the tone of carrying like a new lane and being able to get some of these type ones and nail it within the aspect of just having like some new flavors that work pretty heavily. It's just the tone, like I'm talking about with some of these, smoking kind of residential type fares is just a good aspect to be able to get to some of this. Plenty of good munchies type music, some of those type particular aspects, just good house party type kickoffs. Just, and the thing about this particular stuff is the smoke trips on here are not mild. This is kind of the concept as far as saying just within the aspect behind it that as you start to have some of these smoke trips, it just really associates the fashion with like it's actually pretty like slurred out and scuzzy type feeling that you're going to get within those head trips. It's just kind of the concept that it just has a lot more of just not the more or less kind of say simping type fashion, but just the extra kind of things that are going to go along apart from once the smoke trips are done. Just kind of the concept, all right, what's next as far as those fashions kind of happen. But there's some ones on here. So New Chop is one of the best songs on this album. I'd say it's like a snaring kind of after hours house party buzz noise kind of get here. Definitely needed more snarls like this on the album. I'd say, and this song is like some hella turn up to kind of get. Nice ASAP Rocky feature on this particular song. This is good blitzing type one kind of get here. So New Chop is just a nice vicious type one to kind of get within some of those aspects. This real litty type factors. Another one that probably deserves multiple millions worth of plays. I think it probably did get that many. So yeah, I'd say New Chop is the one to make a beeline for as far as those pitches kind of go along with it. Half and Half is a quality one just within the fares behind it as well as like a hopping kind of typical dredge kind of get here. Just some after work shift commerce and treks that would definitely feel like within those tones. Just a good song to get tasks wrapped up and situate as far as those things kind of happen with it. This is just kind of an in-between type song to kind of get half and half. I would definitely say here. Just kind of a hop-in type one, but also the concept of just kind of more moments of just not quite as full-blown kind of turn up, but just like the moments, kind of a better version of like a relief type song like Do That Shit. Just nails a little bit better, just has a little bit more kind of just drooping type feeling, just maybe some smokage in your systems and standard fares like that. Just a good concept, kind of get things mapped up, get the homies called up, figure out where the bellows are at, some of those type pitches. So just like the moments of just like, alright, it's time to get to moments like New Chop and some of those type fares of just getting some more standard buzz, just kind of conduit type song for just getting things mapped out or just finishing up like things that have to get done as far as those fairs can happen. Other shit's a quality one within some of those type fairs as well. It's like a typical day kind of floaty commerce kind of get here. Reminds me definitely of Lil Uzi Vert. Just some new era thumping. I'd have to say good outs for that particular fair. Just snack run and basic hop type music kind of get within some of those type pitches. So this is a little bit more of like a relaxed type one compared to Half and Half. I feel like Half and Half is a little bit more of like a productive type one and like a more dreary type sense. But other shit just feels like more of like one. Just kind of be this typical kind of stone within the pitch behind it, but this kind of aspect of this kind of getting this kind of figuring out like basic supply run type pitches, some of that type fair, just more lackadaisical within the sense as far as those fairs can have a good type tone for that. Number 9 is a nice one within some of those type pitches as well. This one reminds me definitely like a Migos album cut, pretty similar fashion to like Do That Shit and some of those type ones. I'd say there's at least one other song that reminds me of Migos pretty well as well. I think it's Flex, some of those type tones. But number 9 is like a vehicle thump and good venue ambience kind of get here. This is definitely good for some hangouts in like a public fashion, I'd have to say. So it's just good type one. on is basically it feels like Quavo, Offset, Takeoff, some of those type folks should be on this particular song. It's within the fashions behind it. It's good type fare for that. Definitely should take it back to like mid 2010s, 2015, 2016, some of those type fares within the pitch behind it. And then Flex is a pretty nice one within some of those type pitches. A good concept here. It's like a Drury kind of smoke several similar vibes to like Drowsy Migos, Zaytoven type bump within some of those type pitches. I'd say just a sluggish kind of mid 2010s mixtape type fare. Just a sluggish kind of mid 2010s mixtape type fare kind of get within those aspects. So it's a good type tone for that. This really reminds definitely a Zaytoven type push about it. It's one of those type ones where you just would kind of be around the neighborhood. Just a typical kind of just tell typical type one, just tell like it is. Standard posted up type fare just within the fashion behind it. Just like this is made, chunk up the deuce, some of that type fare just within the pitch behind it. The standard type pitch and push behind it. Standard dap kind of music. Y'all mean does a pretty good job as well. I'd say it's like a Drury kind of head trip cruise arounds kind of get within some of those type fashions. Reminds me definitely of Look In and Let It Go. Some of those type pitches behind it. This pounds pretty well. Good social out and about to kind of have within some of those type fares about it. So I'd say Yamin is just kind of one to kind of have some smoke. It's just in terms of like a more social type aspect, maybe picking up some swishers or lighters, some of those type fares, getting like a pizza, something like that. Just the aspect of kind of some relative kind of city hop, but just in a more kind of commerce type fashion. Just the concept of like socializing, just with like more scuzzy type feelings, more scuzzy, tore up type feelings in mind as far as this pitch can have. It goes pretty damn well with Woke Up like this also, I'd say, but also goes well with like Look In and Let It Go, some of those type ones. Good type fare for that. And then Location has another good fare about it. This is a kickoff to the album. It's like a lofty and plush kind of intro, kind of get here, just a grand roll up, some green, and appreciate like the ambience, I'd have to say, with Homies. Definitely a good fare for that. It's good particular song for pizza, snacks, some of those type fares, get some fast food, some of those type pitches just in the aspect behind this, some good conduct of this standard coffee table type music just in the aspect of this, and get crunk and just the fashion and just like the ambience behind this, more simp type music. This overall has that blitz particular type of feel. So once again, this album gets an 8.5 out of 10, I'd have to say, within the boundness of it. So the social score I'll probably give like a 9.5. Either like a 9.5 or 9.25. I look within the pitch behind it. I think I'll give the social score like a 9.5 out of 10 because it does have these aspects pretty well. This is like a pretty popular, relative new era type fashion, kind of get within those pitches behind it. This cloud rap type stuff, some good type fare, and I feel like he's pretty much like a torchbearer as far as being able to knit. I feel like Playboi Carti's like a banner artist. I feel like Playboi Carti's like a banner artist for like cloud rap as far as those particular pitches kind of happen, especially with Post Malone not doing rap as much nowadays, and like XXX Temptation and Juice WRLD not being around within these nowadays type pitches. So it's just within the fair saying, good type era to kind of get some of this type stuff. Definitely I would have to say a SoundCloud era type classic within the pitch behind it. Some good type fares for that new era type stuff. This has some good smash hits, pretty similar to like a Lil Uzi Vert, same sort of fashion, cousin that particular style from what I've seen from Lil Uzi Vert, and just has some good type fares to kind of have for like an adapted type sound that nails it. Has some good aspects of Migos on here within the pitch. There's some great smoking songs on here, some good type fashions for going out and about with smoking, some relative type fares, some cruise around, some good makeshift commerce to kind of embrace, is to be able to have the aspects in between kind of tasks being done, and just the concept of just kind of going out and about within some of those type pitches and just getting errands done, being somewhat productive just in the aspect of also getting snack runs and just overall the socialized type factors. So like I said, good simp type album within the pitch. Not to say simp in like a bad way, but just a good concept to kind of chat and just have the aspect of being talkative, some of those type fares. I mean, it's kind of, this is not as much full-blown trap as just in the sense it's minor kind of trap within a sense, but it's just the aspect of just being able to say it just has enough thump and knock on this particular product to say it has like the concept of not being like square like. So it's just the tones. It has mild trap, I'd say maybe 25, 35, 40% trap, but it's more cloud rap most of that. It's kind of some smoke trip that just is pretty similar to like the stuff Lil Uzi Vert and folks like that were kind of doing Lil Yachty. Just in the pitch, 9.5 social. In terms of the future, like I would say, like Playboi Carti is supposedly working on some stuff. It's been a little bit since he's put out something, I had to say, within those pitches. I'm gonna have to get some more of his type products here. Do question what some of his albums sounded like in terms like a more, those make me question what some of his albums sounded like within some of those type fashions, but he does have a number of more projects. I think he at least had a free 2016 mixtape, some of those type fairs, but this is a virtual, I would definitely say for like a new era type pitch, let's say for like a new era type pitch, this is pretty close to being like a classic here just with an aspect. It's basically like an arguable, debatable type classic just within the fashion behind it. Mostly delivers on these aspects pretty damn well, and I'd say it's definitely better, definitely has these aspects down pretty pat, and it's a pretty trendy product to kind of get within those tones.